welcome to Let's Talk Love with me, Lynn. If you're new to our show, this is a show where we talk about love, life, and everything in between. Every month, I bring you an inspirational guest with an inspirational story to help you open up to the idea of being in love because people are my business, have always been. I have come across time and time again people giving up on love because they've been hurt in the past. So, if this resonates with you, if you enjoy topics on love and the not so average, raw and authentic stuff, then you need to stick around our community, hit the subscribe sign and the notification bell because every month I'm going to bring you a new guest, a new story, and a new insight as well as perspective on love. Love to bring these stories because they're authentic, they're raw. We're not rehearsing any of this, so things are going to be imperfect because that's what authenticity means, right? Showing up the messy self that you are. This is for both women and men. And if you're new to me, I'm a transformational life coach. I've been a transformational life coach for going on 8 years professionally. However, people have been my line of study since I was in my early 20s when I studied psychology and human behavior. And then I went on to study leadership and healthcare management. And I've been in the healthcare space for, gosh, over 23 years now. So I coach mostly healthcare professionals and those who are in any type of service industry. If you're out there catering to people, I know that you don't have someone that caters to you. And that's not okay. That's not fair, right? So I'm here to open up your heart to love and to help you win at love and life. So stick around for this next guest. She is someone that I came across in one of the Facebook groups. And when I reached out and said, "Hey, do you have an inspirational story?" She shared with me that she absolutely did. And I had to invite her to share her side of or her perspective on love in terms of how and where and when she was able to open up to love. So give me a moment as I invite her to join us, and we'll go ahead and do that right now. Go ahead and welcome our guest today. Her name is Anna Banner. She is an astrocartographer. So what is that? We're going to find out shortly. She helps people discover how different places on Earth shape energy, relationship, and opportunities. And she guides clients in finding the most supportive locations for love, career, healing, and soul alignment. I mean, wouldn't you want to be at a right place at a right time to meet your someone? I definitely would think so. So let's go ahead and welcome Anna in. All right. Hello, Anna. Welcome. I'm so excited to have you here and to learn about what it is you do, as well as get your perspective on love. So,
Thank you, Alma. I'm so glad to be here.
oh my gosh, when you and I spoke, I thought that what you're doing is so interesting just because astrology has definitely been something that I have enjoyed in my life. But I've never heard about astrocartographer. I mean, that's a mouthful. So tell us, what is it and how did you get into it?
So, astrocartography is a study of astrology, but it's juxtaposed onto the world map. So, think about the sun, right? You have all these planets traveling around it, right? But at the same time, at that snapshot moment where you took your first breath, those planets kind of create these energetic lines across the earth because the earth is not against the sun. It's not the sun itself, it's separate. So
Mhm.
that snapshot basically tells you what places are better for you based on the energetics of that planet in your chart. And I specifically chose astrocartography because it's a very good practical application of astrology. You look at astrology, it's a lot of pop culture, right? Oh, you're this horoscope. Oh, this person would love you because you have this moon or whatever.
Right.
But you really can't do much with it. Now, if you understand how to interpret your chart and to use it to, unfold certain parts of your personality, explore certain other sides of yourself, you're able to use it to give life more meaning and to live life to the fullest.
Mm-hmm. Sounds amazing. Sounds like sort of that peek into who you are, right? And what you can actually co-create in a sense. But in a sense, it's been written in the stars, right? Because when they say it's been written in the stars, then it's like you got to be at the right place at the right time. So if you know that, then you have a map. That is fantastic.
Right.
So, here we talk about love. And what I like to do is I like to bring inspirational perspectives from those who have been out and about and have gone through pain and then gotten out on the other side and found love again. And that's exactly what you have. So, what I want to start with is what is your definition of love? Because we all define it in a different way.
Yeah. And I was thinking about that since we first met, because for me, it's very much about honesty and integrity. And I know that honesty is about integrity, it's a part of it. But
Mhm.
I think that love, there's multiple types of it. But if you really are to love a person and have a romantic relationship with somebody, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with them. And you also have to understand that you're dealing with all of them. And so if you come into a situation knowing that there are parts of yourself that need to heal, there are parts of yourself that are still hurt, but you're willing to pursue a relationship with someone, understanding all their flaws, all their parts of hurt, then you can achieve that idea of union.
Mhm.
Honest, you know, there's no, you're not going to get bamboozled. Your eyes are wide open with what you're
Right,
approaching.
you're aware, right? Yeah, I feel that a lot of individuals out there are still asleep.
Yes.
And I say that with love because we all have grown up with this idea of what love is, should be, right? Because we all watch the Disney Channel and the stories and all of that.
Romantic
But
comedies. Yeah.
exactly, but the reality really is to understand that humans come with the good and the bad side, and none of us are perfect. And love, as you say, really means, being honest with yourself. And a lot of people are not. I know that I had that issue, right? Conforming to be loved,
Right.
becoming something else, shape shifting in a way. And I see that a lot of people doing. And then when you're in a relationship, then you're truly not authentic. And so, yeah, I love that. Thank you. So when we go into this, clearly you have an idea as to what love is for you right now, right? But let's rewind. Let's go back to when you were younger, before you knew what you know. What would you say stood in your way of actually understanding love and opening up to love and kind of finding that alignment for
Oh, yeah.
yourself?
Great question. So love for me was being what other people needed to me to be, being of service to
Mm,
everyone so that they felt loved. I
mm,
was more of the lover. And in order to love them more, I helped them in every way possible to be happy, to be their best version of themselves.
mhm,
And so for me, I remember I grew up like wishing and hoping I had a boyfriend that would love me for exactly who I was, because I was never exactly who I was. I
mm,
was this version for this person and this version for this person and this version for myself so I can even stand myself, you know. And it was really tough because my understanding of love was really being of service and being perfect according
mhm,
to what my parents needed in our family unit. So when I met my husband, he loved me so imperfectly, in the sense, not that he loved me imperfectly, but I was so imperfect and he loved me at my absolute worst, that I was like, oh, this is what love is. This is normal, because I had inklings and senses that the love that I saw around me growing up was not right, but
mhm,
I didn't know any other version. So how could I perform that without having that come into my sphere?
You couldn't compare, right? Like you didn't know the difference. Oh yeah, I can totally relate to that, right? Because those that show us what love is and show us what love is in the wrong way, at least, in our perception, right? But again, maybe they didn't know any better.
Right.
So, I feel acceptance is really essential here, and understanding that everybody knew love in a different way. That's why I ask, what is love for you? Because
Yeah.
everybody has a different perspective, different view on love. So it was very similar with me. I was very much of service. I was very much taking care of everybody. And you know
Yes.
what I realized? I realized that I was giving everybody exactly what I was lacking or what was the hole within me. And when that revelation came about, it was it was such a gut punch to first realize that, and second have to learn to accept the fact that, so I hold a very deep love for that version of me,
Yeah.
who basically what I was doing, but it's not just giving love, but I was actually surviving, right? I felt safe in that sense.
100%.
And so it seems like you did the same exact thing.
100%. Yeah. And it
So
was
tell
really
me,
hard.
how did you overcome that? Like, what was the first step for you to really kind of start saying, well, I need to put myself first. I need to be more authentic. I need to be more honest with me before I can attract anything worthwhile in my life.
Well, I started disappointing everybody else.
Mm,
I stopped doing things for everybody else. I started doing things that felt right for me finally, and it was the weirdest feeling. But I cut everybody out. And it sounds terrible. We talked about it. I grew up in sort of a narcissistic, abusive situation. So I cut out my family, my friends, networks, jobs that I was pursuing, things
mhm,
that I was studying, reading, people. I mean, I just cut everything out and I started from scratch. And it was so painful, but that aloneness that I needed for myself to learn who I was and what I actually needed was crucial.
mhm,
Then understanding, right, that this is what was actually who I was, this is what I actually needed.
mhm.
Because you can't have things that you've never had if you don't cut out and remove the things that don't work for you. No.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Disappointing other people,
Yeah.
that takes strength. And let's hold space for you for that. I mean,
Thank
honestly, like
you.
I have to applaud you because that is a hard place to be in. And
Yeah.
speaking of the whole narcissistic place and narcissistic world, I can absolutely relate to that. And sometimes you just need to go no contact.
Yeah.
It's
100%.
the only salvation that you have to be able to first you destroy and then you rebuild,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And that seems to be what it took for you as well to
It
get back
hurt.
to that.
It hurt real bad.
Yeah.
But thinking back, you have to choose your heart. And that was the heart I chose. And I'm
Mhm.
really glad I did because now my life is so much more happy and meaningful, more than I ever expected it to be. I dreamed it to be this way, but I
Mhm.
didn't expect it to come to fruition. And in order for it to come to fruition, I had to do that hard work.
You had to do the hard work, you had to take action, right? Because you can't be just sitting, wishing, complaining. You need to get in the midst of it.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's why, like with astrology too, there are certain degree things that are destiny that are fated, but we were also given free will. So
Hmm.
we have to work together as a team to
Hmm.
get to that point in life, to get to that purpose completed, fulfilled.
Co-creation, right?
100% right.
Right, right. I love that. So tell me now, I mean, after all that discovery and having to go through all these hardships and everything, um, how did you get to the point where you kind of decided you're like, okay, these are the three things that I need in my forever guy? What are sort of the three characteristics that you feel are important?
Right. So the first is, like I said, honesty, integrity, kind of those together, I would
Hmm.
say. The second part is a dedication and devotion to the betterment of oneself.
Mm.
I am not here to deal with anybody that, not to say they're going to drag me down, but I am on this path in life to not so much achieve fulfillment, but to align with my soul. And I want that person to do that too, because if we're not at the same level, then how is it ever going to work? How is it ever going to be a reciprocating relationship? And that goes into the third part. That person has to reciprocate, because
Mm.
I've been in so many relationships where I give, and there's nothing coming back. And in order for me to be a full person, and in order for me to be a woman of feminine energy, I
Hmm.
need to receive, and I need to be with people who are open to giving to me.
Right. So, how did you learn to receive?
Oh man, that took a long time. Uh, Learning that it was insulting to myself and others if I didn't accept it. And it starts with a compliment. You know, how many
Mm.
of us can really take a compliment? Oh, you look beautiful today. Oh, well, I'm so tired and my hair looks terrible and all these.
Yeah, like
That's
putting
the
yourself
first time.
down, right? Hmm.
Yeah, I have to learn to accept a compliment. And so it's really just little behavior shifts. Oh, this is something someone wants to give me. Open your arms to it. This is good. This is not bad. My nervous system's like, oh, is the shoe going to drop? Is there some sort of hidden agenda? So part of it's learning that the person's a good person, right? But second part
Hmm.
is understanding that that's good. Take it, put it down.
Right, right, right. I feel that that's for, I mean, for women, yes, some men as well, but for women, that's so hard. And that's what keeps them in this masculine energy that does not attract a provider man. When I tell them, why is it so hard for you to receive? And then of course we go into the nitty and gritty to find out why, because there's always a root cause. They're like, why? Well, I feel guilty for receiving. Like, I don't know how to receive. Well, it does take practice. And yes, it is a habit. So intention is so essential to really get you to that place where you're like, I deserve to have good things. I
Yeah,
deserve to be complimented. And I'm working on myself, so I can receive these compliments and to actually accept the fact that I am worthy of having anything that I set my mind to.
right.
Thank you so much. God, you've shared so many things that are so important and that are such a struggle out there in the world. So tell me, what drew you to your husband? So how did you guys meet first, and what kind of told you, yes, this is the guy for me?
Okay. So we met at the gym. We used to work at a gym.
Uh-huh.
Um, he was a personal trainer. He still is, but he's starting a second career as a pilot. But I worked at the Kids in Motion and the front desk. I was in college at the time,
Hmm.
and I had just broken up with my ex-boyfriend.
Hmm.
And I was talking to someone else at the desk upstairs where the gym was. And my husband at the time comes in. He's like, wow, that's stupid. What a jerk, you know? And then he just left. And to me, everyone else was trying to kind of soothe me and be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Maybe he's thinking this, maybe he's thinking that for my ex-boyfriend. And my husband just came in and was like, well, nope, that's not true. He's just a jerk, and just kind of put it truthfully out there, black and white, no BS. And throughout our kind of courting, let's call it that, he
Hmm.
was just a no BS kind of guy.
Hmm.
And for me growing up, there wasn't like a real sense of truth.
Hmm.
We understood this to be law, but was it truth, right? Things that were going on
Hmm.
in my family. And he was very truthful. He would tell you, oh, this is for you, this is not for you. This person's a jerk. Let's not pretend. And I love that about him. And when we actually first were talking, there was another girl that was an acquaintance of mine that was kind of trying to get in the middle. And he set boundaries with her, and he was like, listen, this girl isn't in your best interest, not sneakily or anything, but she's got things that are
Sounds
not
very
for you.
protective of him.
Very protective.
Yeah.
And with that, that was really the selling point, because this person who I barely knew was willing to be honest with me when nobody else was.
hmm What I hear is honesty, being direct, being the protector, right?
Mhm.
Making you feel safe. All of
Yeah,
those things are so important. So
absolutely.
tell me about your first date.
Our first date, actually, we drove around where we lived was there was a huge, beautiful ravine in the Chicagoland area, so on Lake Michigan. And we just walked around and talked. And it was like kind of a forested area. We just had conversations. And at that moment, it's kind of interesting. If you grew up with trauma, you're really looking for people that are willing to deal with you. And
Mhm.
so you kind of are like, not so much in a trauma dumping. I've been in that trauma dumping scenario, but like with when you get to a healthy point,
Slippery slope.
slippery slope, when you get to a healthy point, you say, this is me, this is what I grew up with. And he was like, okay, this is me, this is what I grew up with. And then we started looking at these are our hobbies, these are our values. Do they work? And in that
Yeah,
moment, they aligned and it just worked out perfectly.
that's amazing. That's incredible. Yeah, you know what? I mean, I feel like the for the first date, that was a pretty deep conversation, but I
Yes.
figured since you guys have known each other and maybe you kind of felt comfortable with him, you could take it to the next step, right? Like if you meet someone right off the bat and you haven't had any type of rapport with them, right? Like you wouldn't go
Right.
that deep into it. But
No,
of
I'm
course,
generally a deep person.
yeah,
I have a hard time with shallow conversations. I can do it. My husband actually taught me.
yeah,
But for
small
me to
talk.
get to know a person, it requires deep, kind of not
Yes.
so much unveiling, but the willingness to go into that depth, right?
Right, right. And you got to really feel comfortable, right, with the
100%.
person.
Mhm.
Because sometimes what I feel when you come from like a trauma or a narcissistic space, the aftermath can make it so hard for you to open up, even like you'd be hyper vigilant. Like you wouldn't see someone walking in the forest, right? On a first date,
Yeah,
regardless. But the
right.
point is that you always think when the next shoe is gonna drop. And so it seems like you have done the work so that you could open up to that idea of being with him and kind of, going deep.
Yeah. And with him, actually, when I met him, I was in the middle of that removing everybody else. So I was already somewhat of a mess, but he accepted that.
Mhm.
Because he wasn't perfect either. I
Mhm.
think the scenario and the timing of it was that because the majority of that work that I did was while I was with him because he
Mhm.
gave me the safe space to do it. And that
Right.
doesn't happen for everybody, but I was lucky
And
enough.
that is so important. That's why I say when you heal in two parts, right?
Right,
First, you heal on your own, and then you heal with someone who is safe space for you to
right.
do the second set of healing. Because if you're healing on your own, you think you're healed. Like I get a lot, oh, I'm healed, I'm fine, I'm ready. I'm like, are you sure you're healed?
Yeah.
Because watch out, your next relationship is going to trigger you, everything
Oh,
that
yes.
you need to heal still. And sure
Right,
enough, it's always been the case. And it's like, I had no idea, right? Because if you don't get triggered, you are not going to know what area you need to heal.
right. And we heal best in relationships. That's one part of it, right? But
Mhm.
at the same time, I don't like to use the term that we're healed. Like there's no ending to it. We're always
Exactly.
healing. Even now, I've done 10 years of work on myself, right?
Mhm.
There are still things that I need to heal. And the biggest part after doing all this work is that sometimes active healing doesn't require active healing. It just means you need to start enjoying and feeling safe enough to enjoy. And
Exactly. I
that
feel
kind of
it's all
requires
about really the journey of it, right? Like because it's evergreen the way I see it. And so it's like, yes, you're gonna heal the bits and pieces of you, but really your whole life, your whole existence here on earth, I feel is a journey of self-discovery,
correct.
right? You're gonna figure out the parts of you. And when you're in a relationship too, you're gonna go through phases. I'm sure that you have gone through different phases, right? Through different
Yes.
versions of you. So having someone be there for you that accepts that, and that's where that whole growth aspect, like ongoing growth, evolution in a way, right? To become
Right.
a better person for yourself and for the other person.
Right. And you also have to make space for that other person. There are
Yeah,
things that I healed that my husband did not. And then
it's a
we
two-way
switch
road.
places,
Hmm.
it's constantly switching places. And I have to be willing to make space for his healing, but also be the number one supporter for him to do his own healing, you know.
Hmm. Right. How do you balance that? Because I feel there's a lot of struggle around that, where people who have been empathetic and very much of service tend to lose themselves.
Mhm.
So I feel that there needs to be a sort of a boundary in a way. So how do you hold that up?
It took a long time.
Mm-hmm.
There were times where I just felt like a vegetable during our relationship because I was still healing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Part of it is having a great partner and doing that research, right? Let's call it research to find
Mm-hmm.
that good person. But also, it's a boundary to know when you need to rest and the different types of versions of rest.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you are constantly in fight or flight your entire life, that becomes normal to you, that becomes safe. And things that are actually safe, that are actually restful, feel dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
So that becomes okay, according to my intuition, right? Am I feeling good right now? If not, then I have to ask this person to deal with their stuff on their own right now.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I don't have the capacity.
Right.
So understanding like if my husband's having a really hard time, and there are times where I'm there, especially more now than it was years ago, of course. But
Mm-hmm.
if I don't have the capacity, I say, listen, sweetie, I appreciate what you're going through, but I can't deal with this right now, not because of you, but because of me. I have a
Mm-hmm.
short fuse.
Communication, right? Open communication, honesty, transparency, all of that is so essential, right? It doesn't mean that you're not there for him. It's just that at this point in time, I don't have the capacity.
Yeah.
Therefore, I can't have clear head to even think or, put our heads together as
Support
to
him
how we could
fully.
find a solution, right? Because it's so
Right.
important for you to take your rest. I'm the same exact way. So my husband is getting into the swing of things, right? He grew up in a place that is not very, growth mindset.
Right.
Things are pretty much
You do
structured,
what you do,
and
and that's it.
this is how we have done all along, and this is how it's done, right? So there's no ever since we got together, there was a lot of shifting, a lot of changing, so it was like for me, I would go like this and he'd be like that. And I would go like this. And now the gap is getting smaller and smaller and smaller the longer we're together and the longer we're around each other, right? So I held space for him to be able to catch up in the thinking process because I have been in the personal growth space and the whole people business studying myself and then
Right.
others since I was in my 20s. So
Right.
I studied psychology and I know you did too.
Family
So
development,
exactly
understanding
that,
human
human
behavior.
behavior, leadership
Yes.
management, like all of that stuff,
Yes.
everything that has to do with people. So for me, that was a given. Like for me, I like to invest in
Yeah.
programs, educations, books, all of that. Like I'm a constant learner, like I'm a sponge for knowledge,
Right.
right? But I've realized that the knowledge is not power, it's applied knowledge and
Right.
integrated knowledge that's
Right.
power, right? And so I was trying to teach him that and so hold the space for that. And so it's really important to have someone who is willing. They may not be at your speed, right?
Right.
But eventually that gap is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And now I can say that we're pretty much aligned,
Yeah.
where we're at. Of course, I've shifted like 5 times and he did
Right.
twice
Yes.
in our
Yeah.
relationship. But nevertheless, there's progress, there's movement, right?
Absolutely.
Like now we're heading in the same direction, and so I love that you are in the same place and that you have created that for yourself.
Yes. We've been there too.
Yeah. This conversation can go on for hours, because I feel that you and I are aligned very much. But how people connect with you? How
Absolutely. So find me on Instagram, find me on TikTok at Annalea B,
we're
Annaleahb.
gonna put that in the
Yep.
description.
Just
So
thought to put it in
yeah,
there.
good.
But essentially, if people are looking to find love, there are places and locations in which you can. But the
And
thing is,
sometimes it might mean you need to move to another state or another country, right?
exactly. And it's not that, oh, this location is going to find me exactly what I'm looking for, but each location gives you a place to heal, a part of you to heal.
Hmm.
And because a lot of times it's either the time, the place, or you. Maybe you have not done the work to be open enough to receive a partner,
Hmm.
right? Or maybe it's not the right time because you have more work, or maybe it's not the right place because the environment that you are in,
Hmm.
whether that's, your living location, your work environment, the relationship environment around you, maybe that's not the place that's conducive to having a healthy relationship. Because
Right.
we can all date people and get into relationships that are not healthy for us and seem
Hmm.
amazing and wonderful, but is that going to be soul aligned for you?
Or we try to make it fit.
We try to make it fit, square peg in a round hole, right? But
Exactly. We try to make it fit because it's that, I've invested so much time in this person and now it's having to start over. And how can I do that? And like all these excuses, whereas it's like this person is not fulfilling you. You're thinking it is because you're the one who's giving it all, but you're
yeah,
not receiving anything back.
and I think
And a
it's
healthy
about
relationship needs to be reciprocal.
right. And I think it's about people are so afraid to do the hard things. Honey,
I
life
know.
is hard. We have a human existence. I don't want you to suffer, but we are going to struggle. So you have to choose
Yeah.
which part. Do you want the harder to start over? Or
Yeah.
do you want the hard to deal with this person who is never going to be fulfilling in any way to you?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
you can choose denial, but really, if you are absolutely dedicated to finding love, then you need to be absolutely dedicated to you. And then
Right.
that will come on.
Right. This actually goes into the next question I had for you, which is what is one piece of unconventional advice you have for someone who is wanting to find love out there? And of course, clearly being honest with yourself, right? Are you in the right place?
Yeah,
Do you need to start stepping out of your comfort bubble?
right.
What else would you say would be sort of an unconventional aspect?
Do the hard work
Mm,
in discovering yourself.
mm,
Um, Astrology, your birth chart is a map to your soul's pain, your lessons.
mm,
If you deal with all of your quote unquote shit, then at that point, you become more open, you become more healed, you become more aware. Like the blinders are off, right? And
right.
I like astrocartography because you sometimes you're not in an actual capacity to heal, right? So
Mm-hmm.
moving into a different location takes the blinders off a little bit and
Mm-hmm.
gives you a new environment
In
to
your
do
perspective
that work.
too, right? New
Right,
energy too, because
right.
I mean, I know like when you go on vacation, let's say, you're in a different world. There's different
Yeah.
energy, different faces, different places, and all of that. So,
So do the
got
hard
that.
work. That's what I'd say. Do the hard work and discover who you are.
All
The rest will
right. Well, you heard it. Do the hard work, and of course, reach out to Anna if you want your chart, if you want her to help you out, figure out the location that's best for you in terms of how to find love and how to find alignment. Anna, thank you so much for being here. I have enjoyed this greatly, and I can't wait. I'm sure you're going to be back again. But I am glad that we crossed paths and that you had a chance to come and join us.
Thank you, Isla, so much for giving me that chance. I had a fabulous time.
All right. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and I will see you with my next guest. If you enjoyed this conversation, there's a lot more to come, so make sure you stick around, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will see you at the next opportune time. Bye-bye. If you're interested in getting on your path of self-discovery and you're a woman, then I want you to stick around for a minute as I share little insights of my book, Uncover Authentic You. It is a step-by-step guide to self-acceptance and self-discovery. And it's 12 plus one bonus steps on how to achieve that, how I have achieved that, how I went from a people pleaser to an empowered empath and someone who is really happy, really content in life and in relationship. Enjoy. You can get it on Amazon or on Kindle. However, if you do decide to get the paperback, you get a call with me. So I hope to see you then. Bye-bye.